All right, welcome to the DLIS webinar for October 27th, 2022. This is Michael Crossfox, and we're going to get started. Today's topic is the DLIS Directors Forum for the fall 2022 semester. We're going to hear from special guests, Dr. Shari Lee, Associate Professor in DLIS, also the Youth Services and Young Adult Librarianship Advisor, is going to review some changes that are being made to the MSLIS program goals this year. We'll hear from her in just a moment. Following Dr. Lee's brief presentation, we'll hear from Dr. Vorbach, Associate Professor and Director of DLIS, and he's going to walk us through the specializations and certificate programs available from DLIS, and then I will round out the meeting with the usual housekeeping, notifying you of upcoming dates and events to be mindful of. So with a discussion of the revision of the MSLIS program goals, here is Dr. Shari Lee.
Hi, everyone. Apologies, but I'm having a bit of trouble sharing the screen. It's telling me I didn't allow permissions, Michael. I'm not sure why, because I'm saying share, but it's not going. I'm canceling that. Okay. It's not allowing me to share. Let's try again.
All right, try it again. Yeah, I just changed your permission.
Okay. Let's try it again. Are we good?
I'm not seeing anything on screen.
That's weird. Hang on. Let me try it one more time. Let's share screen, share. I am not sure this is going to work.
I could try doing it from my
Okay, try Jim, because it's not allowing me to do
okay,
it.
let me just find it. Okay, because I know, because you emailed me the
Yeah.
PowerPoint. So just give me a minute.
Sorry about this. Yeah, it's just telling me I need to allow permissions.
Okay. Meetings. Okay.
But we have an attendee.
Yes.
Hi, Mickey.
Welcome, Mickey. Okay. So I have it up, and now let me share it. Okay, share content. PowerPoint. Share.
There we go.
Do you see it?
Yes. Can you start
Okay.
Could you start the slideshow? And
I will do that.
This is version 2, right, Jim?
This is the one you emailed me today.
I sent you a second one. Did you see it?
Well, I'm not sure, Shari.
It's okay.
You tell me when you want to advance the slides.
Okay, so
right now.
hi everyone. Sorry about the confusion. We may be working from an earlier version of the slides, but it's basically the same thing. So what I'm here to talk about is the program goals. We recently updated and revised them. So I wanted to share with you our thinking behind the changes that were made and add a little bit of the updates that we also made. We just decided since we were updating them, we would just go for it. So as you all know, or you should know, the DLIS program goals are informed by the ALA core competencies for librarianship. So when they revised the competencies, ALA, I mean, in 2021, we had to update ours to match the addition of the social justice competency. So they added social justice, and we in turn updated to include social justice as a program goal. You can forward, Jim. Right. Like I said, we took the opportunity to also update and clarify our goals. What do I mean by updated? So we eliminated 2 of our goals. No need to panic, right? Not that these aren't important, but what we what we sort of deduced after, being online for 10 years is that these goals were sort of embedded throughout our program. So you would get aspects of each from different courses. So, speaking specifically about the technological skills competency, it's an online course. So, you're engaged in learning online. So, there's a lot of tech involved. So, we thought that, and I feel correctly, that these skills are sort of embedded throughout. By the time you get through the program, you're pretty technologically competent based on ALA's requirements. And the other one was the um, I call it professional development, but I think the goals called it lifelong learning, same thing, and also embedded in each program. For example, those of you who have taken, well, all of you would have taken 205 by now, or you would be taking it. Um, is that we talk about how do you plan to keep up with things like technology and and all the changes that are constantly evolving, especially because of you know the internet. So having that aspect in 205 and the same in several other courses, we feel that there was no longer a need for you to show that competency in our programs. It's still important for ALA, but we feel we cover them that way. And the way we justified this, you will see when you see the new goals, is that they are addressed in a preamble to the goals, showing how these skills are sort of woven throughout the program. And by the time you're done, you should be fine. So you're not losing anything when we say we've taken them out. Okay. We added the social justice. So that means we now have 7 program goals when we initially had 8. So improvement there, one less, right? And we looked at some of the issues we were seeing in the e-portfolio and just, talking to students and assignments or whatever. And we felt that a clear objective for each goal would be helpful. So we included that and specific guidelines regarding artifact selection, specifically for the e-portfolio. So we sort of included those things to be helpful based on things that we were seeing from students and in e-portfolios that were submitted. One more time, Jim. Okay, so we're looking now at program goal 1, right? This is what I don't try to read it. It's blown up after, but this is what it looks like when you see it in the thing. So you see the program goal, you see the objective, you see descriptions. We give you 4. Every goal will have 4 specific items that are meant to clarify and help you to understand specifically what this goal means, what you would need to understand or know, right? So those are them. And at the end, you see that artifacts selected. So one more time, Jim. So blow it up. This looks like this. So program goal 1, right? Foundations of the profession. We have a clear objective here, right? We're concerned with development this goal is concerned with development of an understanding of the foundations of the profession. What does that mean? Here's a description. This goal is specifically concerned with early development and evolution of information as a discipline, libraries, and librarianship as a profession, as well as the concepts and issues that still underpin why we do what we do. Therefore, things like the ethics, values, whatever, are also included. So you see that that's clarifying and explaining much of what the objective said. Next slide, please, Jim. Okay, so we go further. We're saying, here's what you need to know as a library professional, as a librarian, regardless of whether you're an archivist, you serve as a specialist, academic librarian, it doesn't matter. These are key aspects when we're talking about goal 1, foundations of the profession, that you have to understand what these things are. Okay, information in society. What does that mean? We tell you this means what happens when the creation, distribution, and manipulation of information become the most significant economic and or cultural activity. If you look at fake news, for example, you can see how that's a problem or an issue. So that's what we're talking about. Understand the role of libraries in society. Similarly, in from the foundation's perspective, initially the idea was, as you all should know, our libraries were designed to, um, improve society for the betterment of society. However, Michael Hall at around 1973 said, you know what? No, 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 no. Libraries were made to control the masses and to keep immigrants in line and Americanize. And so we have these different schools of thought. So you have to understand how that unfolded and what it means today, right? Three, the laws that relate to the profession, such as copyright, privacy, all these things that we're struggling with today, right? Um, Equal rights, ADA, things like that. So the laws, there are many. You have to understand how they fit the role they play. Now, you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be in depth on every one, but you get what I'm trying to say. So we're clarifying here. And then finally, we go social, public, information, economic, and cultural policies and trends that are relevant today. So if you think back to 205, when we looked at that paper by Green, and then we looked at the paper by Smith, we talked about what Green intended, how Smith is still in that same wheelhouse, but the impact of technology really sort of blew everything up and what it means and so forth. So those kinds of things are talking about the foundation of LIS as we mean. So we're not looking at one specific aspect, like if you're an archivist, the history of archival studies, or if you were into youth services, the history of teens or or children's services. That's not what this means. So to make sure that you understand when you're selecting your artifacts, we added this last section. One more time, Jim. We tell you artifacts selected to demonstrate competency in this goal should not focus on the foundations of one area of specialization or study, right? Such as archives or youth services, as I mentioned before. The focus should be broad, right? So I say here it should be more broadly focused on the issues, theories that underpin the history and development of information as a discipline, like I mentioned between Smith and Green. So that gives you a tangible notion, idea that we already discussed that you should know, right? Libraries as an institution and librarianship as a profession. We feel that this clarification will help you going forward, especially with the e-portfolio. Okay, so that's the purpose of the revised version and the thinking behind the updates. And I think that's it, Jim. Questions?
No, we got,
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what happens when you don't have your own slides or you're not in control of your own slides, right? Okay, so what does this mean for you? All right. First of all, the goals go into effect in spring 2023, right? And as I said before, you should find them beneficial overall, just in clarifying what the goals of this program are and how they align with ALA's competencies, right? But especially in regard to the e-portfolio. When you start to work on your e-portfolio, the revised versions should be much more helpful. And if you're in a panic about what this means for you in terms of the e-portfolio, if you're already working on it, you're able to choose. You can choose to stay with the version that was in place initially when you came in, or you can use the new versions. There is no problem with either of that. So nothing to worry about here. This is just intended to help you. Okay? And now I think we're done, Jim. There you go. So questions.
okay. So let me check let me close out of
Okay. Thanks.
this.
Yeah.
Escape. Okay. Um, okay. Let me, um, well, I got a hello from Mickey, but I don't have any questions, Shari.
Okay. So,
I'm sure questions will
you can
arise.
reach out to me
And
at any point in time. I'm happy to clarify.
exactly. And I'll also, in my videos to my class, recommend they read do the watch this directors forum and to reach out to me if they have questions. But
Absolutely.
and and I'll just reiterate what you just said, that we're talking spring 2023, but for anyone who's already in the program, you can use either either the current goals or the 2023 goals. It's no one is forced into it. The only students that have to use the 2023 goals are the ones that are the students starting in spring 2023. Okay, so I guess that's it. Shari, I know you have to be on your way, so I thank you for presenting this. Since I thank you also for having playing such a strong, uh, you know, role in the revision, and we, as the faculty, voted and approved it. We think it's definitely a, an improvement for our students to have such an explanation included with each of the goals. So
Thank you,
thank you,
Jim.
thank you, Sharon.
And take care. Thanks, Michael. Bye,
Thank you,
Mickey.
Dr. Lee.
Take care. All right.
All right, well, moving on. Thanks, Dr. Lee, for that clarification. As Dr. Lee mentioned, anybody watching this video with questions about the change to the program goals for the MSLIS should feel free to email Dr. Lee directly, or you can even email dlis@stjohns.edu, and we'll make sure that the answers are provided. Of course, we will be updating the programmatic information on the DLIS LibGuide and blog once these changes are live in spring of 2023. So without much further ado, I want to invite to give his presentation our director, Dr. James Vorbach, is going to talk to us about the specializations and certificate offerings available from the Division of Library and Information Science. All right, Dr. Vorbach, you can go ahead and start your presentation.
Um, Michael, I just got a question for you. What does that mean without much further ado?
It means cutting off the
No, I'm only
ceremonial
kidding.
pomp and
I
circumstance.
I just had to say that, because
You're so,
I hear people say, "Well, further ado," So, okay, I'm sorry, folks, for that little
for providing
it's
us with unnecessary ado.
unnecessary ado. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, so first I want to show you. I like to have something visible, and as my backdrop, I'm gonna have the. So let's go to share. Um, I'm not seeing. Oh, there's share. Share content. Okay. I want to look at, I think that right there, Firefox. Okay. Now on your screen, you should have the LibGuide, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. So I wanted to have, the specializations, and maybe some have not seen the new edition for the advanced certificates. I'd like to have that in the backdrop, as well as program planning. So uh, just while I have this up, what we were to make it the changes clear, again, continuing, the revisions in the program goals, we don't take lightly, and we want to make sure people understand uh, and can compare. So they will be another box added here, right below program planning, and there'll be a little bit of a redesign of this, where we're going to have the curriculum map and the program goals, and then we'll have spring 2023 and a little brief explanation, and the curriculum map and the program goals. Because as you know, if you change the goals, you have to change the curriculum map, because the curriculum map maps every course to the goals. So in a sense, for anyone who's currently in the program, you have a choice. You have the current goals with the current curriculum map, which relates the courses to that, or the new goals, spring 2023, and then you would use the new curriculum map, because we have a different number of goals. So you have to be aware of that. And we'll be talking more about that. But my job, right, is to talk today about the specializations and the certificates. And why am I talking about that? I think I'm going to do it. I think I structured my session with a series of questions. And I think what we'll do is turn these questions into FAQs. So as Dr. Lee mentioned, that we have an ongoing assessment process. And in part of that assessment process, uh, we look at, in this case, we looked at the change in the ALA competencies, and we also looked at the feedback from students. We have an annual student survey, we have an exit survey, we have other measures as well, but primarily those two, where we got the sense that, uh, you know, there needs to be more information with the program goals to help the students in their decisions and in their building of their e-portfolio. Well, similarly with my presentation here, from the annual student survey specifically, we got we got the message that these specializations are a question mark for many, uh, for at least some of our students. And so, and many, maybe more, but these are the students that specifically put it down in the annual student survey. So we thought we should start the clarification right here with the specializations. Okay. Um, Not so much on the courses, but on, well, let's go with I'll start with the purpose. Okay. Because that will help with the later questions. The specializations are for advisement purposes only. They do not have a recognized credential associated with them. They are courses selected by the experts or faculty experts. And as you can see on the screen, you can download the explanation for each one of the 4 specializations. These are PDF downloads. And then right below this, we have the certificates, which I'll get to that. The specializations are all 12 credits. Um, but they, again, they are for advisement purposes only. You could take more than 12, but you must take at least 12 to say, to meet the requirements of a specialization. Okay, so first question I have here. Do the specializations appear on the diploma? The answer is no. They do not appear on the diploma. Then the second question I have here is, what evidence do I have of having completed a specialization? The evidence that you have of having completed a specialization is your transcript. On your transcript, it's going to have those courses. It's going to show 4 or more courses in your area of specialization. And so that is your evidence of having completed a specialization, the fact that you can demonstrate, if asked, you can demonstrate that you have taken a minimum of 12 credits in that particular area. And you could also, as evidence, you could download the description for the respective specialization, such as academic librarianship or archives and records management. So if an employer wanted to get really picky, you could show them, here's my, you could email them your transcript, and you could also email them, here's the requirements. So you have evidence. So again, just because they're for advisement purposes only and they are not a credential like the certificates are, does not mean you should not advocate yourself or promote yourself as having the specialization. Now, should I put the specialization on my resume? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because on your resume, you could certainly say that you specialize in archival studies. And on your resume, you could even put the specific archival studies courses. So again, there's no reason you shouldn't advocate for yourself, promote yourself as having completed the specialization just because it's not a credential. Okay. So, like I said, let me just repeat. for clarity. What is the evidence? The evidence is your transcript. The courses on your transcript are your evidence. The should it go on your resume? Absolutely, absolutely. You should say that you should mention that you specialized in uh, one of these four areas here. Okay, and in your resume, you would put the courses that would as evidence. Just list the courses there. I would as well. Um, what other questions do I have here? What is the difference between a specialization and a certificate? Okay, a certificate is an actual credential. Okay, so what does that mean? In other words, a certificate requires a proposal. The same thing. Let me back up. A bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD, they go through a process. It starts in a department, it goes to the college for approval, it goes to the university for approval, it goes to the state for approval. So all these different levels of approval to vet that this is a valid program, bachelor's, master's, um, or PhD. Well, the same is true for the certificates. Okay, they're certificates, they're not bachelor's degrees because they're only 12 credits. And so these each of the two certificates, let me scroll down to the two certificates so you see them. Okay, the Advanced Certificate in Management for Information Professionals, the Advanced Certificate in Social Justice in the Information Professions. Again, 12 credits each. So the same number of credits as the specializations. But these went through a rigorous approval process. There was a proposal that came out of the department. It was approved by the department faculty. It then went to the college council, approved there. It then went to the university provost office, approved there. And finally, it went to New York State Higher Education Department and approved there. So it's very similar. So it's exactly the same process that a degree goes through. And as a result, you're getting it is a certificate. It is literally a paper. You wouldn't call it a diploma because that's reserved for degrees, but it is a certificate and is a credential, and you would list it as you would a degree on your resume. So on your resume, you'd say Master of Science in Library and Information Science, and in the same area, you would say certificate in, let's say, for example, advanced certificate, okay, in management for information professionals. And why is it an advanced certificate? It's an advanced certificate because you must have a bachelor's degree to take the certificate program, and that is if you are a student in the MS. So when you apply for the MSLIS, in fact, you are accepted into the master's you're accepted into the Master of Science in Library and Information Science, and you are also accepted into either certificate program or both. Uh, and it's up to you whether you want to pursue the certificate. You're not required. However, if you are interested in pursuing a certificate, you can see again in this box, there is a link to a form. Please fill out this form. It'll help your advisor. It'll help us track that you are interested in pursuing an advanced certificate. You are not obligated. You could fill out this form and then not complete the certificate. You are not under any obligation. However, what this form alerts us to is when you do graduate, we check for students who have completed this form. And that way they get their certificate on time. Okay, so by filling out this form, we check your transcript for having completed the certificate, and then we give that information to the dean's office. And so then, as it takes roughly 6 weeks, 7 weeks to actually get the diploma, but you will get the certificate at the same time. Whereas if it's without that form, uh, we don't go through every student's. I mean, the advisors do. The advisors, of course, check your advisors check that you're ready for graduation, but we don't. But they're not looking specifically for completion of a certificate. They're looking for completion of the master's degree, satisfying those requirements, unless you fill out this form. And then, yes, we will be looking for completion of the certificate requirements. Okay, so please do that. If you are at all interested in pursuing one of the certificate programs. What further questions do I have? Well, I just finished. Okay, what is the difference between specialization and a certificate? Certificate is a credential. A specialization is a set of courses that are recommended for pursuing a certain career as determined by the expert faculty member in that area. That's what a specialization is. Uh, you could, okay, another question. Does a certificate appear on the MSLIS diploma? And the answer is no. The certificate is its own credential. Okay. It's its standalone credential. So the master's, so your MS diploma is simply that. It just is your MSLIS diploma. And then the certificate that if you complete the requirements for either of the two certificates would be a separate paper that you will get that is signed by the powers that be, confirming that you have achieved the requirements of an advanced certificate in either of those two areas that we have. Okay, so I hope that has provided some clarity on these specializations and the certificates. There was some questions. Students thought specializations appeared on the diploma. That is not the case. Okay, again, it's the transcript, the courses that you have taken that are your evidence of having completed that specialization, and and yes, you should put it on your resume as that you have completed that specialization, and you could put the courses or not. I mean, you could simply, as evidence, provide a transcript if requested that you have completed the specialization that you put on your resume. So I think that's pretty much it on my end. I invite other questions, and we're not gonna stop just here. This we just did a fact we had a faculty meeting on October 20th, a week ago, which caused as a result of that, and we talked about this, the annual student survey results, and then I added it to our forum today. But we're gonna again continue to uh, promote, make sure in the various in our orientations and in other ways that that we have ensure a clearer understanding of what the specializations are and what the certificates are going forward. With that, I'll close and invite any questions in the chat box, um, or questions may be directed towards me via email at a later time if they are, or certainly, actually, your first point of contact would be your advisor. Talk to your advisor if you have questions. But again, you can always also contact me if you feel the need to do so. That's fine. Email me. So that's it. I'll close, Michael. Then we'll see. Uh, Look in the chat box, and I see Mickey has responded. This has been helpful. Thank you. You're very welcome, Mickey. And I guess that's a close. Michael, you want to wrap up?
Sure thing, Dr. Vorbach. Thank you for that information. Again, these what Dr. Vorbach walked us through was a recent revision to the DLIS LibGuide. As this information is published and produced. As he said, talk to your advisor. Right now, DLIS, we're underway. The advisement period for spring 2023 is underway. That'll be going until the end of the term. So reach out to your advisor. If you have any questions about your individualized program of study, your advisor is the person best suited to answer those questions and follow up with more questions for you and what your goals are as a professional. That said, let's take a look at what's coming up for the next few weeks. November 7th will be the last day to withdraw from a class. That does include a transcript notation. So you would get an official withdrawal on your transcript. And I think that opens an opportunity for you to take the course again later on to make up that grade. Veterans Day is November 11th, Friday. The university is closed. And again, that means that no administrative offices on the Queens campus, Manhattan campus, or Staten Island campus will be open. Your instructors and DLIS itself will probably still be available via email, our primary form of communication, but the university is closed. The DLIS e-portfolio for folks pursuing a January 2023 degree conferral will be due on November 15 at 5 p.m. That information is also included in LIS 105, the comprehensive portfolio course. Thanksgiving recess will run from Wednesday, November 23rd to Sunday, November 27th. The university is closed. Again, no administrative offices will be open, and we hope that you have a wonderful and restful Thanksgiving recess during that week. And finally, oh, I left it off of here. We have the next webinar is on November 10th, and that we're going to be talking about managing your online education experience as a student. So resources for online grad students, time management tips, software tools that are available to assist you in your individualized learning style. So that would be November 10th. You'll get that in the digest. I just left it off of the slide accidentally. And our last webinar of the semester will take place on December 1st. And that's going to be a discussion with an academic librarian who's part of the Empire State Library Network. We'll be reviewing immersive digital libraries and look at some exciting projects on that topic. And that'll be our last webinar for the semester. So thanks again for everyone attended, and thanks for watching.
Oh, can I just jump in, Michael?
Sure thing,
Uh,
Dr. Vorbach.
on the housekeeping, it says last day to withdraw from a class, November 7th. Students who want to withdraw from a class should email me because they will not be able to withdraw by using the UIS. Okay, so the
Oh,
quickest,
okay, I see.
yeah, they can't, if that is like the add drop period. Once you're in the withdrawal period, which is after the add drop and up to November 7th, you need to go through the dean's office. So you just simply email me your request to withdraw, and then I forward it to the dean's office for processing. Okay.
Okay, good to know. All right, that said, we're all done. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you on November 10th.
Take care.
Bye-bye.